Heard the call to build your small business? Make it happen with a .net domain name, the place for dreamers for 30 years and counting. Visit keepdreamingup.net for tips and advice, whether you're just getting started or looking to grow. That's keepdreamingup.net.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, I'm always a day late, dollar short, and day behind. I literally almost said, hey, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the show. But guess what? It's actually Wednesday. Either the time is going by way too quick or I'm doing way too much. It's probably the latter of the two. Clearly, as you might have noticed, if you're on Facebook at any time in the last week or so, you know we're getting down to the very last wire as it relates to the film festival. Today, of course, is my very last interview of the week. Actually, just as a reminder to everybody, Junie will be my last interview actually up until Halloween Day. I wanted to make sure I got a bunch of the filmmakers on this week from the film festival, and then, of course, I'm going to take a hiatus, obviously, to solely focus on promotion of the festival, get everything all together, pick out dresses, do all the normal stuff, all that jazz. So just as a reminder to everybody, I will be back on Halloween Day. As a matter of fact, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Alyssa is one of the new cast members of the Bravo show Real Estate Wars. So she's also celebrating her birthday that day. So I'm so super excited. We get her on her birthday. We get a chance to talk about a new Bravo show, which is fun. And I get a little time off. Well, if you want to call promotion of the festival, a little time off. So, reminder to everybody, like I said, today will be the last show. We were supposed to have an interview tomorrow with Elizabeth Rome, but unfortunately she got pulled away for a very important either photo shoot or film. Can't remember which. Either or, it's important. So, unfortunately, we will not have a show tomorrow. So, today is it. So, let's all enjoy today's show. Before we get to Junie, super quick couple announcements. Anybody who is still interested in, has not heard yet, I don't know how you couldn't, Art is Alive Film Festival. I've literally said 1,000 times over, but one more time, Art is Alive filmfestival.yolasite.com is the actual website itself. You can see all 4 days worth of screenings. We've extended out the festival from the 26th to the 28th. It's now the 26th to the 29th. We've also switched venues. Shocker, it's gone from the Producers Club to the Dog House Craft and Kitchen, which actually is located inside the Four Points Sheraton Hotel, which is in Chelsea, New York. So it's going to be exciting. 25 films. We've got 3 industry panels. We've got live music. We've got a celebrity event. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited to be screening these films, folks. I can't tell you how proud I am to be involved with so many wonderful filmmakers, to get the opportunity to expose people that normally you wouldn't get a chance to see. I couldn't be more elated. So please try to come out, even if it's just for one day. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it. Real quick local shout out tonight, if you guys happen to be out, 4:30 to 7 o'clock, please make it a point to join in. Johnny T-Bird Trio is going to be playing in Morton's in Wisconsin here. So if you get a chance, please go out and support Johnny T-Bird. He's a dear friend of mine. Also, this evening at Saloon on Calhoun, who happens to be one of the biggest and best promoters of live music, which is Dave Diller, who owns a Saloon on Calhoun. There's an open mic this evening with the friend of the show, Gabriel Sanchez, but Romeo's Charm, my dear friend Laura Kokelman, is in that band as well. She will be appearing tonight and playing as well. So please make it a point to try to get out there. That's 7:30 to 10:30 tonight, Saloon on Calhoun, please. So without further ado, let's have Junie get on the line. We don't want to have her holding any longer and start our interview. Hello, young lady.
Hello there. Woohoo!
Oh, my God. You are so full of life and excitement. I love you already. This is so awesome. This is like the highlight of my day. This is literally the highlight of my day. It's just.
Well, that's good. That's good. Let's enjoy every moment.
Well, and the thing is, what people don't realize is when you start promoting a big event, a lot of your time is either spent on the phone coordinating stuff or emailing people or Facebooking people. I mean, there's just so much involved with this, and it's just been a crazy whirlwind, folks. I'm here to tell you, any of my close friends will tell you, we've just gone through hell and back with this festival, with location changes, date changes. It's been insane, but it's happening. I'm just so glad. I'm like, part of me is like, I can't wait till the 29th, because it'll be done, and I'll be like, oh, my God, I get to take a break. I don't have to do anything but do a show and then go to Halloween trick-or-treat, when I'm back home. So I'm like, this will just totally be exciting. So.
I totally understand because I just launched a book last month, and I mean it was a great journey, of course, but all the moving parts and the book launch and the Amazon and all the links and all the phone calls, and as much as I was loving and drinking it up, I could not wait till the day after my book launch. I was so
well. You know what I'm saying too, and plus people don't realize. I mean, folks that are listening in, you may not know this, but when you are actually the founder, not only are you responsible for everything, but of course you answer to, like in my case, there's 25 filmmakers, and then you have musicians, and then you have panels, and so you have to deal with that, and sponsors, and on top of which, there's dresses. I mean, you can't just show up in jeans and a T-shirt. So then you have to look nice 4 days in a row.
That was the hardest thing, was figuring out what to wear.
Right? It's all about the clothing and the makeup and the shoes, and you're like, oh, my God. So let's all go like Junie went. Let's all get body painted, and we'll just all show up at the festival like that. Yeah.
That is so funny because I posted that on Facebook. I said the hardest thing about this film festival was what to wear, and someone said, well, that's you just get body painted.
Actually, I love that idea, to tell you the truth. I don't know if they would allow us out in public like that, but I'm like, isn't that the coolest idea? Because, like, that's a huge expression of art, literally. I mean, what better look is there than your own naked body, obviously? I mean, some of us, like me, I'm very modest, so that would...
Yeah, well, it could be a stretch, and I will offer to you that the guy who painted me, Andy Gollop, he actually got to change the laws in New York City, in New York City, to be able to be naked and body painted. He has literally made that possible, that you're allowed to now. Now, whether you want to or not, that's another thing. But yeah, he actually has a big body painting day now, and that is the guy who painted me. So you can do that, my dear.
Oh, my God, look at that. See, well, and of course, New York is different. I think that it's a little strange just because of the fact, like, I live in Wisconsin. So clearly if you go walking around, you can't be topless or you can't be this or this. So every state differs, obviously. But no, I did get that thought. So, yeah. Yeah, so make no mistake, folks. I'm literally looking at dresses again today. I'm looking at dresses again tomorrow. And I'm like, only because, of course, when everybody's looking at you all the time and you have to be there like morning, noon, and night for 4 days, it's like, well, of course I have to look nice. So I'm like, So I just keep asking people, do you like this? Do you like this? Eventually, in about 2 days, I just said, you know what? I'm just not going to really give a shit anymore. And I'm going to be like, I'm wearing what I'm wearing. And that's going to be the end of it. You just get tired of it.
I'm grinning from ear to ear because you are literally sharing what I just went through, and I'm like, oh my God, that was me.
It's crazy. I mean, literally, this is just absolute madness. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm putting myself through this grief, because honestly, you're gonna end up how you're gonna end up looking. You know what I mean? And to me, I'd rather have a successful festival and look like garbage instead of looking wonderful and I'm staring at myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's
and
like,
at the end of the day, if inside, which is the work I do, if inside you're feeling rockin' and solid, then really you could be in sweats and you will be shining your light, because that's what it's about,
Right. Well, that's exactly right. Unless you're in New York, of course, because I'm sure because you've walked around New York City, you obviously can see that nobody walks around looking badly. I'm telling you, nobody's ugly in that city. Every time I'm there, I'm like, they look beautiful, they dress beautiful, they walk too fast. It's just funny. I'm like, Okay, so we have a lot to talk about with you, because obviously the film is only one part of yourself. So let's come back all the way to the beginning, because, of course, most people may not know, besides being a first-time filmmaker, obviously you've had a whole career and a whole life prior to this. So when you first started off, being a personal life coach, at what point did you decide in your life that this is the direction that you wanted to take? Was it something that was early on, or was it more of a discovery phase for you?
I think it was a little bit of everything. I had my life journey of challenge and struggle, and I found a path that transformed my life, and it was transformation that stuck. There's so much out there that helps us with mindset and planning and goals. And, when I hit 200 pounds, like 15 years ago, and my brain was going in circles and I was having such self-hatred and shame, it was, okay, I've done all these things and it's worked to a certain extent, but I really was not feeling grounded and clear and happy and able to have, joy in my life. And so that set me in gear to learn more. And I found this body of work called shadow work, which that is the main body of work I do, that got me on my path and had me say, this is the work I want to do, which then led to ultimately the film, which was a culmination of all the pieces, my empowerment work with women, my own personal journey, and learning tools that transform in a way that I'd never seen before. So it's kind of a mixture of my life and the golden nuggets I've picked up along the way to help others.
You betcha. One of the things that I had heard that you talked about, which I found was so fundamental, not only just within the film, but I think it should really be a life mantra for a lot of people. We live in a society, obviously it's 2017, and of course we work now, and especially when you work in things like film or television, etc. There is such a huge oversized spotlight as it relates to your body measurements, as it relates to breast size, as it relates to dresses and looks and image. We're turning our teenagers into 21-year-olds, and we're taking young women and we're saying, put yourself, make sure you've got tons of makeup on, make sure that you look older than you are, make sure that you're, even some of the reality shows where they're doing the pageant little girls, where they're in their pageants at such a young age. Why do you feel that we as a society are kind of pushing that plastic beauty, as I call it, at such a young age? I mean, it's bad enough when you get older and you're all kind of measured and clumped in, but it just seems like the norm now is we're starting younger and younger to try to get people to be out there and be something that's a version that's not themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an enormous question you just asked with so many things. My head just went, wow, what an awesome question. And there's so many ways to address that. My first thought was we're a really sick society. that was my first thought.
Right.
With all that we know and all that we have seen and grown and transformed within ourselves, we have such a shadowy part when it comes to beauty, which is what I really wanted to highlight in the film. We have not owned the truth of who we are. And so there is still this big part inside of, well, everybody to some extent, but in this culture about what is acceptable and what isn't. And if we are, as adults, feeling uncomfortable or not good enough, we're going to certainly want our kids to not have that. So what are we going to do? We're going to try to have them not make the same mistakes we did. We're going to want them to surpass us. We're going to want to protect them. And so I think from a shadow place, from an unhealed place as a culture, as a society that wants to look good, be successful, have money, have everything work in our favor, and we've been taught that this is how to do it, that we're just spilling it all over the place on our kids so that they can be better, which of course is just making it worse because we're giving them the same programming we got about what's okay and what's not okay.
Right.
And then they grow up with the eating disorders and the inferiority complex and all the pain that we try to help them avoid. They're going to even have even more. And that's one of the main reasons I made that film, because actually, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but the first part of my life, I was an actress. And I was probably a good 15 pounds lighter than I am now in a 19, 20-year-old body, and I was still never good enough. I was still too big, too fat, too this, too that. And I was pretty darn tiny. It's the culture, and it's the messaging, and it's the unhealed parts of us as a culture and adults that are just still pushing it all over the place, and it needs to. Thank God we're talking about it, and thank God we're seeing that it's just not working. People are hurting.
Sure. Oh, definitely, without a doubt. And the thing that I notice is, like, you bring this up in your film as well, obviously. Like, for instance, I came from, when I was much younger, my father was very consummate about making sure that I realized there was just nothing special about myself. So when you when you get that deprogramming or desensitizing of oneself, meaning that you start to buy into that mentality early on, it's very difficult through the course of life to try to see yourself in another fashion or to see yourself in a mirror that finds you as more magnificent versus there's just nothing special about it, for instance. So you touch upon your dad, actually, and by and large, was he a supportive and very nurturing individual? Because I know you had made mention of a comment that was made to you. And so I was just curious, was your family kind of the same in that kind of maybe desensitizing you in terms of how your feelings were, or were they more supportive and gentile, and perhaps this was just I don't know why your dad said that comment, because when I heard that in the film, I was like, really?
I know.
I was
and I
stunned.
struggled to like not put that in the film, but it was such a moment. My dad, I felt like I was on a pedestal for both of my parents. They adored and loved me. I don't remember anything telling me anything negative at all. It was always, in my opinion, to protect me and to have me flourish in life. Sort of what I was just saying.
Sure.
You know, we know how people think, so let's make sure. And my mom struggled, and it still does to some extent, with food and her body. I don't know about body image per se, but in this culture, there's such a big thing. So in that moment, my dad was dying. I mean, he literally was dying, hours away from death. And he was giving me as much advice as he could. I truly believe it came from, I know how men think, and I want you to be safe. I don't think I ever got a message from my dad other than I am just perfect and beautiful and wonderful. You know? And yet that comment was a comment that added to all the other information I got through all the boyfriends and all the films and everything you see that says if you're overweight or if you have curves, something's wrong with you and you're not going to be lovable, you know?
Right. Oh, I totally get it. And the difficult part is, like I said, once you get stuck in that shift where it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, you start feeling good about yourself. Once you're already at only half-mast, I don't think it takes much to be able to knock you down farther and farther and farther. I think there's enough advertisements in the world, and there's enough promotion in the world, and there's enough. I mean, look at it. I just participated in an article citing reasons why I wouldn't get Botox done, because I realize in today's society we should all be plastic surgery happy and run around and want to alter everything. I don't understand. Even though I may not be special, that doesn't mean I have to alter everything and go see a plastic surgeon. And I do interview them, yes, I do, but that doesn't mean that I have to become different. I guess that's my number one question as it relates to your journey. When did you look in the mirror and realize I can be okay with what's on the other end of this mirror, whether anybody else is or not?
Well, first I want to just go back to you for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
That, you know, the whole I'm not special thing, it's like we have all these beliefs that we've picked up from people telling us, or we've kind of intuited a concept. And so I just offer, too, that's like, who's to say that you're not? I mean, my God, I look at you and I go, wow, you're pretty special. So we you know, but it from the outside, people years ago could say, oh my God, Junie, you're so beautiful, you're so sexy, you're so this, you're so that. But it didn't matter because the damage inside made me go, oh, look at that. Oh, my boobs. Oh, my ass or whatever. And so I will say, yes, I made this film, and look what I did. I got naked, I danced around, and mostly I was thrilled with how I looked. Mostly I could, you know, love myself, and I could look in the mirror today and go, yeah, you're beautiful, and this. But I'm not gonna say it's a done deal. I'm still bombarded every day by how I'm supposed to look. And there's a lot of that inner chatter still that goes, well, you know, if you only had a few more inches. Well, I've already put my request to God that in the next life I can have long legs, you know? But that's the wiring, and I laugh at it. So it's a yes and. Yes, I've come to this place through the years of rewiring the old thoughts, because that's the work. That's I'm still getting bombarded by the messages every day, but I'm also bombarding or rewiring the old messages inside to say, I am beautiful just as I am, and to look in the mirror with love, compassion, and new eyes. I do my best to stay conscious, to take off the glasses that go, ooh, look, your thighs are shaking, you know, versus, wow, look how you feel and look how your body's working. And, you know, that belt, I had my hands on my belly a few weeks ago. My lover and I were hanging out in bed, and my hands just went to my naked belly, and I noticed the comfort. I noticed the love I had for my belly. And I went, whoa, I've never experienced that before. And here's this roll that's my belly, and I loved my belly. Now, did I work on going, I love my belly, I love my belly, I love my belly? No. I have been working on this for years, and with the shadow work concept of shining the light on the old messaging, the old belief system, and then reframing it and shifting it, I suddenly was looking at my belly and having a love affair with it. It was really pretty profound. So I'm still learning and growing, and I've come a long way.
Oh, definitely. Because I know one of the things you talked about is not just the confidence issue, but at one point in your time, meaning in our lifetime, I should say, you experienced some issues having some health-relative issues. And so I thought we should talk about that because I think sometimes when we talk about image,
some what? I missed that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Two of the things that you talked about in your past, meaning before you got to a point of now, is some of the things you experienced were from a health perspective, meaning you had issues in the health side of the fence. You were having marriage issues at one point in time. So I think it's important for us to talk about that background because I think when people discuss image and why you look the way you do it yourself, it's not just facially or it's not just body-wise. It has everything to do with, okay, health has gone on, your relationships are happening. So talk a bit about those two areas of your life and how they've shifted from being more negative to more positive.
Absolutely. And, I just want to offer that after I did the film, Shed the Shame, which focused on the programming and the messaging, and I talked about the transformation, I then wrote a book to go with it called Loving the Whole Package, Shed the Shame and Live Life Out Loud. And in that book, I dive deeply into exactly what you're asking about because there are these experiences in life, and it's not just my body, but what brought me to that place. So I used food as a drug. I mean, I used food as my lover. I joke about that Ben and Jerry were my best friends. I mean, I didn't have a lot of life skills. Yeah, me and Ben and Jerry, we had some fun times until we didn't. Food soothed me. Food was there all the time. My marriage, he's one of my best friends, my ex-husband. He is one of my dearest best friends, and we sort of grew up together in that marriage, if you will, learning and growing with the best skills that we had, which are pretty much none in this culture. We're not taught how to have a relationship and communication. And so I was so terrified of speaking up. I was terrified of rocking the boat and having conflict. And that, of course, came from my childhood, too. So in the relationships I've had, which basically came from my childhood of, how can I be? How will I get mom's love? How will I keep dad's love? I brought that into my marriage, and it was uncomfortable. I was so scared of losing his love. I was so scared of doing the wrong thing that I acted out with food, and I felt very uncomfortable in my own skin. And then, of course, by using food as a drug and gaining so much weight, I was in a lot of physical pain. Thankfully, my health has always been really, really good. But physically, like my hips, my back, I couldn't sleep. My mind was crazy. And the biggest thing that really got me to what I call rock bottom, where I said, all right, no more, I must get some help, was I had a 2.5-year-old kid. And I looked at this kid and I just went, I want to be a better role model. I don't want to be short with him. I mean, I was like praying he would just go to sleep as fast as he could so I can go and eat more food. I wasn't able to be present with my own son because I had so much anxiety in my body. So this journey of shifting the inner world so that our outer world can be more joyful and peaceful, that's been a big piece of my life, which led to the work that I do, which led to the book that helps people go, oh, this is why I do what I do. Because most people, they know why their dad was this way, and they know their mom was this way, and they know intellectually why they are the way they are. But that's not enough to change the unconscious belief system that is running the show behind closed doors.
Oh, you betcha. Definitely. Well, and the other thing, too, is I think what we realize is as we start to feel better, not only mentally but also physically, I think that has a lot to do with it. Because little by little by little, it's not just one piece. It's about 17 pieces to the whole puzzle that have to come together in order to have complete unity, obviously. Now, you brought up your son clearly. So one of the things that I was just thinking about today, because, of course, I had to watch the film again. I've seen your film like 17 times now because I've had to watch it again and again and again. And I'm watching this film, and I'm not going to lie to you, because I have told, my sons at home are 10 and 12, and my one's almost 13, so they're getting a little more mature. And I had once said to him, you know what, I wouldn't mind trying to be body painted just because I wanted to try the experience. I mean, I'm underconfident myself. I thought, well, this might be a little altering experience for me. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, so her son is 18 years old, your son is 18, and so I'm thinking,
actually, my
we
son
watched
is 21.
Shed the Shame. Oh, I don't know where I got 18 from. I apologize. Okay.
I don't either.
So,
that's interesting.
this will bring it to present day. So here your child is, because my daughter is actually 22. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I'm the filmmaker of Shed the Shame, I'm pretty sure that my daughter's going to be like, yeah, I'm so not watching that. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously the mom factor and being the body painting. Have your child seen this or wanted to see it, or was that uncomfortable? Do you know what I mean by that? Because that's one thing I can't get out of my head.
I really do know what you mean, and to this day, my brother has not seen it. He's like, I'm sorry, Junie, I can't, I just can't. And another dear friend of mine, a male friend of mine that I've known since second grade, he's like, I don't know, Junie. And I said, look, it's tastefully done. You'll be okay. And he did see it. My brother, no, but my friend did see it, and was very happy that he did see it. It is a long, maybe we'll get onto another radio show some other time about my son, but the long and short of it is, I don't know, and I doubt that he's seen it. And the reason is because sadly, and again, it's a long story, and it's actually it's a lot in the book because I don't usually talk about it, is we actually have not spoken for about 5 years. He left at age 16, and even though I know he's healthy and doing well, he doesn't talk to me. And so I don't know, and it's another big life piece of learning, growing, releasing, surrendering, and trusting that it's all divinely planned. But I don't know, sadly, I really don't. But I can guess. I can guess that if he were to watch it, he'd be like, my mom is so out there and so weird, I am not shocked. But I don't know if he would see it. I don't know what he would think about it. I'm the crazy weird mom, so that's all I know.
Sure. No, and I totally understand that. Definitely, because I know myself. I mean, obviously, did you, because I know you mentioned in the film that you're nervous, of course, prior to doing this, but was there any apprehension, and were you thinking in the back of your mind, you know what, maybe I can't go through with this, because, I mean, it's not just you shedding skin, in essence, taking the clothes off, etc., but now you're on camera. Everybody's watching you, so it's not really a private moment for you. It's a very public moment for you, which can be very liberating, but yet, was there any apprehension in your head and kind of thinking, yeah, maybe we should just go backwards here and not do this? Do you ever think about backing away or saying no?
There were moments. There were moments, and I worked it like I would work any challenge, issue, idea I have in my life, and that's what I do with my clients, which is the risk. What's at risk to really do it, and what's at risk to not do it? Most of my life, I squashed my truth. I squashed my voice. I lived a small, safe, in my comfort zone kind of life. And there was a cost, and there was loss, and there was a lot that I go, gosh, if I only. I don't live like that anymore. And I choose consciously and carefully, and I know vulnerability is a strength. And so when this idea came to me, and it really was like, whoa, that's an interesting idea. Am I really going to make this film? I spent a few months questioning why. Am I doing this for surprise factor? Am I doing this to build my brand? Like, what is the true reason? And I really came down to the heart of it, which is I want to share my story to touch other women and men, because a lot of men have been touched by this. I want to share my story, my journey of transformation, that healing is possible, that you could be yourself and love it, and life can be magnificent. And when I knew that that was the reason that I was doing this film, the fear of people commenting or saying mean-spirited things, the risk was there, but it wasn't as risky as not doing it. So what I came to, I came to that point of, to not do it would be way more painful, would be way more costly than taking the chance that someone might go, oh, gosh, she really should have kept her clothes on, which was the only bad, if you want to even call it bad, comment I got. I literally put it out to thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and I only had one man that said she should keep her clothes on. And I looked at it, and I went, okay. And, it stung a teeny bit. And then I was like, whatever. And the next thing I knew, someone wrote this guy and said, obviously you missed the message.
Right.
And
clearly.
And it all was good. So I had moments, and there was this moment. The moment I'll never forget was when my finger was just above the return button on my computer to say yes to YouTube, to sending it out there. And my finger hovered over that, and I said, once I press enter, it's out there. And I took a breath, and I said, this matters. I matter. And everyone that watches this, well, I hope, hears the message that healing is possible and that they do not have to hang their hat on, I'm damaged, I'm broken, I'm ugly, and that's just the way it is. It's BS. It's lies. We've been fed lies, and I wanted to break through the lies with this film.
Sure. No, I understand completely. I do, actually. I want to make sure that we go through some of the parts of yourself, obviously, that are non-film related. Well, it's all. I always say it's all film related because a lot of you is in that film. I'm certain of that, obviously. And it's not just your body. Obviously, a lot of your mentalities, a lot of the ways that you think. One of the things that we want to talk about, which I think is really cool, is not only are you a licensed acupuncturist, because I have a question about that, but you're also an ordained minister, which I think is so absolutely awesome. So first, let's start with the acupuncture thing. I want you to take away my stigma because I'm hugely afraid of needles, hugely. And so I'm constantly saying, because people say to me, you know, you should get acupuncture because I've had a few health issues this last year. And they're like, you really should try this. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm already doing the tattoo thing, which is already obviously another needle. And I'm like, yay. But I guess I'm just, well, of course they do, darling. But the difference is I'm not going to sit there and lie there with needles, with these little needles hanging out of myself. And I'm thinking, ew, how do these people do this? So if anybody else is like me and they're listening in, let's talk a bit about the benefits of acupuncture and what made you get into that field yourself. Okay.
Well, the reason I say tattoos hurt is I've been an acupuncturist. I had needles all over my body many, many, many times. And I just went, tattoo, no big deal. And I was like, ouch. Acupuncture is so gentle. It's so uneventful. Now, granted, there are different techniques, and you want to know who you're going to, and you want to have a conversation with them. I'm so extremely gentle with people. I don't want to cause pain. Now, there are some people that believe you have to have high sensation to have a response. That's not me. I see people getting better all the time without going for the kill. So I need tiny, tiny little needles. I wish they weren't called needles, but they are. They're tiny little pins. Deeply relaxing, deeply healing. It's a tool like any other tool. It could be a really big piece of the puzzle. I got into acupuncture because I had some really bad back pain. And, well, I was an actress, and I hurt my back terribly. And I suddenly was in an environment, the Omega Institute, which is a very healing, holistic environment with classes and healers. And I hurt my back up there while I was still an actress in New York City. And I looked at the life that these healers had, that these acupuncturists and massage therapists had. And I said, wow, I don't feel like, and this was, I'm in my 20s, I don't necessarily believe this anymore as for actors, but at the time I felt I'm not being of service. I want to give more and help more, and I want to be more peaceful. And at that time, that was not my life as an actress. So I shifted gears, went into the healing arts, first massage therapist, then an acupuncturist. And I did it because I saw the value of energy medicine and balance and stress reduction. However, what I then learned through the years was so much of our pain in our bodies is caused by what's between our ears. So that's where I shifted and went into more of the personal growth work and added that component to it. So I still do acupuncture, a little massage. Mostly I help people with their hearts. Mostly I help people with what's causing the stress. What is it that is so scary about speaking up? What's in their relationships that are causing them to doubt themselves or feel inadequate or in their business? Because that is what I find comes into my acupuncture practice as, oh my God, my shoulder's killing me. Oh, my indigestion. Oh, I can't sleep. And then you look at their life and you go, well, that's not a shocker. Look at what's happening. So I got into it because it looked like an amazing field. I think it's an amazing field. I love helping people. Acupuncture rocks. And it's a piece of the puzzle, just like our thoughts, piece of the puzzle. If we're not feeding our body good, healthy food, you could do acupuncture and think great up the wazoo, and good chance you're not going to be feeling so good, So it's a piece of. Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about is the fact, obviously acupuncture is good for the mind. Here she is being an ordained minister, which is good for the heart there, obviously. That has to be so neat to be a part and present of a person's, one of the most important days out of their lives. That has to be amazing. But I'm wondering with your schedule, do you get to actually perform ceremonies often? I mean, has this been a big portion of your career? Because I wonder if you even have time to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you, and that's always the big question of the day is how to manage and work my life efficiently in a way that I can be of service and help people and not be crazy. I went to the I went to the interfaith ministry, the seminary, because I wanted to do more of a spiritual inquiry, to learn more. I didn't necessarily do it to do ceremonies. I love creating ceremonies and rituals, and even when I do my workshops and retreats, there will be aspects of that because metaphor and symbolism, it brings us all up into a deeper experience. I have done weddings. I think I do a great wedding. Not something I do often or even advertise. I'll be talking to someone and they might be mentioning something and I'll go, hey, if you need somebody. But my ex-husband, he loves doing weddings. And when I said, you know what, I'm not so big on the weddings. I'd rather do the spiritual counseling or more of the personal growth work. I said, you do the weddings. And so a beautifulaffairoftheheart.com is where you can grab an awesome wedding with my ex-husband. But no, I don't do that many weddings. I bring my spiritual wisdom, if you will, my journey, my understanding of the religions. I mean, mostly I'm a spiritual person, and I bring that awareness and understanding into the work that I do. So it's a piece of me, but it's really not a shingle I put out. Even with the acupuncture, I really don't put that shingle out. I'm a speaker, a coach, and a transformational instigator now. I mean, that's really what I do.
I gotcha. You know, I noticed one of the things that you've done before, and I want to know what this is actually, because I know you've acted as a moderator for what they call a sacred healing circle. And I've never been part of one of those. I've actually heard some nice things about those things. So talk a bit about what a sacred healing circle is and what is the obvious benefit to most of us in terms of nurturing our hearts and nurturing our souls. How is that a benefit to us?
Well, my first thought is that there's so many different versions of what a sacred healing circle might look like. So what I'm going to talk about is, I think, the principles that create what I consider sacred, which of course is of the heart, sacred, special circle. So a group of people coming together in a safe way, in a way that protects the circle, where they can dive in and share from their hearts what is true for them, so that people, I think sometimes people just need to be heard and witnessed, and that in itself is healing. And so I have created many different workshops and circles where people can come and share their journey, or it might have a specific slant. Like I have a meetup, a group that meets once a month, and it's called Starting Over with a Delicious Bang. And it's women that are after divorce or after breakup or after, the empty nester kind of thing, and they're starting over their new life chapter, which is my sweet spot, people starting over. And so we create this container, this space that is precious, sacred, beautiful, where it gives people, these women, an opportunity to be seen in their challenges, to be honored for their triumphs, to be able to breathe and ground. And then I also offer my shadow work tools, some of the tools to help them kick their inner critic to the curb, to be able to own their inner knowing of their preciousness, their divine. So sacred healing circles, and they're all over the place. It's a meeting of the hearts in a way that is safe and beautiful and rises us all up into the highest that we can be. That's my take on sacred healing circles.
Very nice, actually. And I know, obviously, of course, you're a certified group. You're a group facilitator, of course, and a coach. Yes. I know that. Yeah. I've talked a lot about this, and I know one of the goals that you have is to help people get unstuck and to tear down some of that self-criticism. So if somebody's listening right now, and they spend a good majority of their day just kind of dissing themselves, where it's every time they turn around left, right, sideways, they can't get unstuck. what would you suggest to them starting today? What's the first step towards rediscovery of yourself?
Well, I think the first step really is to really tune into that voice. What are you actually saying to yourself? Awareness. Awareness is numero uno step. Being conscious that something's going on that has you doubting yourself, has you fearing being yourself or moving forward or trying something new. I just created a video series called 4 Powers to Be Yourself and Love It. And it's a free video series. People could actually grab it on my website. And I talk about these 4 parts that are inside of you. And when you access these 4 parts, you could start to lower the volume of that inner critic. And they can go right now and grab it for free right there. It's on my site. It's called, the site is womenreclaimyourlife.com. I'll say that again, womenreclaimyourlife.com. And these four videos, these 4 powerhouse parts, when you go one by one and you start to activate and connect to the part of you that knows how wise you are, the part of you that knows how beautiful and precious you are, the part of you that knows how to take a stand for yourself and say no and set good boundaries, and the part of you that's tender and vulnerable and needs support. When you have a relationship, a healthy relationship with those 4 powers, that critical, judgmental bashing that we do, it changes, it shifts.
I'm just taking all that in. It was so powerful. I'm like, I really need to take your advice, by the way, because as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, oh my God, hypocrite, 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 because I feel like I've literally been on a journey to find myself, and I'm still looking. I look out the window and I'm like, where the hell am I? I haven't found myself yet. You know what I mean? It's kind of like living in a world where half of it is reality and half of it's fantasy, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to show up one of these days. You know, I keep looking out the window and I'm like, yeah, she's going to show up. Like one of the, I get glimpses of
and you're
myself.
Doing it. I know,
right.
And you're doing it, and I'm doing it, and I'm so not in the high tower there. After my book launch last month, I've been like just trying to get. A friend of mine said, "Did you come back to Earth yet?" I'm like, "I see Earth. I'm trying." My inner pusher got kicked up, and my overachiever got pushed, and I'm like, okay, I have some tools, I have skills, and it's again awareness. So I hear you're on your seeking, I'm on my seeking. What's real? What's not real? What's ego? What's not ego? This is the journey, and thankfully, you and I and everybody that is on this path of self-discovery is going, well, let me look at this. Let me figure this out. And there are tools. There are great resources. This conversation hopefully will have people go, oh, I never thought of it that way, or maybe I should grab that resource and look at these 4 powers. I mean, there's a lot out there, and frankly, I just keep coming back to just breathe. Stop and
I love
breathe,
that.
because to me that is where the magic happens. And I have to remind myself all the time, breathe, come back to the truth. Nothing has to happen right now. Nothing has to happen in this moment other than breathe. Of course, I don't believe that sometimes because I have a to-do list up the wazoo.
Or Junie would say, if all else fails, and I think this is so cool because you've been known to howl at the moon. And I've always told people, I'm like, one of these days I'm going to go apeshit crazy and you're going to find me outside dancing under the moon somewhere with a big old fire going on, kind of like that Divine Sisters of the Yaya, or Divine Secrets of the Sisterhood. Because seriously, I never believed this until my best friend Sherry. She would say to me, you know what, if you get that upset, if you just can't deal with it, when you get in the car, you just scream. You just let it all out, and sometimes just that literal vocal sort of expression of, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. That's one of those things. So, you know, obviously, of course, you need to go out and howl. Go out and howl is the mentality, obviously.
Howl, meow, beat a pillow, move that energy, move the body. And again, so many resources. And in Loving the Whole Package, my book, I have all these exercises. And one of them is really about expressing, about moving that warrior energy and really like having that roar, because when we can access that roar, we can feel that inner power. It's when we're holding back. That is exhausting, and it's painful, and it takes away our shine, and everybody sees it, and we feel it.
Oh, without a doubt, absolutely. I know that you have talked about finding your own personal peace and joy and helping others to gain some form of either focus or clarity and inspiration and motivation. When most people come to you and utilize your services and say, you know what, I need help, I feel like I'm in a rut or whatever the circumstances are, typically have they tried some of the more traditional methods and they finally find their way to you, or do you find that there's just people coming to you first starting out on their journey? What is your typical client, so to speak, or clientele, I should say? What are they like once they reach your offices, et cetera?
Great question. I've had both, and most of the people have done traditional therapy. They've read a lot of personal growth workbooks. A lot of my people are overachievers. They've done a lot. They've read a lot. They know a lot, and they're still stuck, and they're pissed. You know, they know so much, and they're looking for that next step. And I've had a lot of people that have done a ton of Landmark Forum and Tony Robbins and really great work out there that sometimes can only get you so far, and then people need to do what is called shadow work. I shine the light on the parts that they're not able to see, the old belief systems that even though they think they know the belief, there's all these other layers underneath it. And so, yes, most people have done a ton of work, and yet some of my most favorite clients had not done anything, and they soaked it all up and were just ready. And I think that's the piece. It doesn't matter what you've done and what you know. It's when you come to a point in your life, and these are the people that come to me, when you come to the point in your life, usually in your 40s and 50s, and you're like, wow, check. I've done it all. I did it all the way I was told to do. I've acted this way. I've been this way. I've done the kids, the marriage, the divorces, the this is the that, and I'm not fulfilled. I have a successful business, and I'm not happy. That's when they come to me because they don't understand why and how to move forward. They're stuck and they don't know why. They know so much, but they don't know why they're stuck. Those are the people that are ready and willing and highly committed to go, Junie, show me the way. And I get my handy-dandy flashlight out, and people get so much ease and power and freedom to be who they are. I mean, that's my saying, be yourself and love it. That's what happens, because being themselves wasn't so happy, wasn't so fulfilling, but they become themselves, like to be themselves fully, owning all of who they are, shadow and light, in a new way. When people are ready, it doesn't matter their backgrounds.
Oh, I agree with you. And not to mention the fact, folks, it doesn't matter what part you are in your life. I think sometimes people feel like they have to go and solicit help once they've tried everything, and that's not necessarily the case. I think we all kind of are in tune with our own bodies and minds, but at a certain point, we all get lost, and we all need some redirection, obviously. You've talked a lot in this conversation about shadow work, and those that are listening in may not be familiar with what shadow work is or what's involved. So if you wouldn't mind, because I know it's a modality of personal growth, but we need to get a little more in depth so people really understand what exactly does it mean to be doing shadow work.
Okay, great. Well, yes, it's a personal growth model that is so phenomenal that I discovered about 10 plus years ago. It's a specific type of shadow work, because there's a lot of people that say they do shadow work. This particular shadow work is founded by Cliff Berry, and it's specially designed processes. So we get out of our heads. We figure out what's going on, and we get out of our heads, and these processes undo the old programming. And so what is shadow? Shadow is the part of us, the part of who we are that somewhere along the way we decided we could not be like, that we cut off. Oh, I'm not, anger is bad, so I'm not going to ever express my anger. Creativity is bad, so I'm going to push that away, and I'm just going to be a scientist. We cut off vital energy of our essence, of who we are to fit in and be loved. And we throw it away and we go, "Oop, that's bad. I can't be like that." And shadow work is a vehicle to take back all of those parts in a conscious, healthy way and use that energy. So anger used in an unhealthy way hurts people. It comes out sideways. People's heads get chopped off. We feel anger toward ourselves, or we beat ourselves up. However, inside of anger, the energy, the gold, is the ability to set boundaries and to speak up and say, "You know what, that's not going to work for me." To access the energy of anger opens us up to good, healthy, direct communication. So shadow work helps us own all of who we are, all of our parts, and claim ourselves, to claim all of us, so that we can be fully realized and live joyfully.
So if I understand you correctly, just so that I have this on point, let's say somebody comes to you and says, "Okay, I want to fully utilize your services." And I mean, it's a little different, folks. Like, for instance, when I go to my therapist, I have no illusions that I'll be out of it in less than 5 years. Surprise. But obviously we don't want to scare people here. So typically, well, let's face it, life is therapy. Okay, so pretty much you never get out of it alive. But I am a mental health patient, so I go on, I go off, I go on, I go off. But when we're talking about some of the principles that you're applying to people, typically, how long are you working with the average client? I know everybody is different, obviously, but I just want to give folks an idea of typical times.
Yeah, so you're right. Everybody is different, and sometimes you could have one breakthrough session that is life-transforming. In fact, almost always the sessions will be a big shift, and we call a lot of therapists call shadow work an accelerant to the therapy process. So it really runs the gamut. Most of the time I work with people, I always start with people for a 3-month period, almost always. I mean, sometimes people want a VIP, they want to experience it, and we'll do several hours, and they get to experience some really big shifting. But this is about transformation that sticks. This is about shifting old, crusty, yucky stuff that we've picked up along the way and getting to those old messages from different directions that we have come up with in shadow work. And so it's a relationship. Typically I work with people anywhere from 3 months to over time. I have clients that see me, kind of on an average of once a month for like a year or so. But I usually start with 3 months to get some really good, solid shifting, seeing, transformation inside, get that self-worth up, help them get some ease and relaxing around that inner dialogue so that they can start taking better actions. Because when people start to shift, what I see with my clients is their work life amps up, their relationships get more intimate, more juicy, and their self-care gets higher. And so all those pieces start to shift and move. Their game gets, leveled up. And then there's the deeper layers and more. But, we start with 3 months to really get some good transformation that sticks.
I like that idea. Any kind of transformation in a healthier, positive light, obviously, is one of the things that we all strive for, I think. And so you almost have a job that involves being a labor of love for a great deal of people, and that's absolutely amazing. I love the fact that you took it time, I should say, and created a book, as you mentioned. It's called Loving the Whole Package, Shed the Shame and Live Life Out Loud. When you embarked upon doing a book, because we all know, well, those of us that have written books realize that this doesn't happen overnight. It can be a very arduous task, and it can be very time-consuming. It can be frustrating. I've thrown pencils, books, paper, you name it. It took me 9 months for my last one. It really does take a great deal of discipline and devotion as it relates to doing any kind of book, in my opinion. So I was curious to ask you, why was it important for you to translate your beliefs onto paper? And second of all, how has it been going? Because obviously we want to know how things have been since you launched.
Great. After the film, I really had no idea the impact it was going to have. I made the film as a love offering. I really did. It was not like, oh, this is going to do this for my business. I was really shocked at how much it touched people and the comments I had and how much pain there was out there. And I knew, but I had no idea. And So here was this film that was an invitation to healing, but there was not really a next step for them. And so here was this body of work that has changed my life, continues to change my clients' lives, and, I kind of threw it in the film, shadow work, but where can they go? What can they do? And how might I invite them into my world so that I can help them and guide them with tools that I think are just phenomenal? So it just one thing led to another, and I said, I would love to write the book. And a real quick story, the day before I was speaking to my publisher, because I didn't know anything about book writing. I mean, I have a list. I write to them. I had no idea what to do. But the day before I was talking to this publisher that I ended up working with, the founder of Shadow Work, Cliff, who I've known for over 10 years, called me out of nowhere. I've never spoken to the man on the phone out of nowhere. And he went, Junie, I'm thinking of you. How can I help you? And I just said, wow, I'm talking to a publisher tomorrow. I'd like to talk about shadow work. It's your intellectual property. How do I do this? And he said, well, let's figure it out. And that's how it all happened. We talked, and he gave me the rights to write about his work, and I shared my stories about how his work impacted my life. And that's kind of how it was. I did the film, and I said, let me give people the tools. Let me share the work. Let me give them exercises. In the book, I even give extra links to an outside source for even more videos and more teachings. I really wanted to give people not only just here's shadow work and here's my story, but actual hands-on transformation for them that they could start doing on their own. I wanted to give a tool that could give them so much on their own. And that was what called me. It was just another, I'm going to write a book. And it was arduous, and it was challenging. And there were moments of, who am I to write this book? And that's my first chapter.
Sure.
The bumping up against the, who am I to write this book? What do I have to offer? And of course, it's done because I faced that voice and said, who am I not to? I have a voice. I have a heart. I have a passion to help. I have skills to offer, and I love what I do. I'm writing this book. Maybe it won't be brilliant, and that's okay. I'm going to do my best, and that's all I can offer. My best.
That's awesome.
And it's a bestseller.
Obviously.
Yay.
I was just going to ask about that, as a matter of fact, and how cool is that, actually? I mean, just not only being able to write a book, but then to see the success, and the success equates not just to dollars and cents, but also in heart value. That is such a huge thing and a huge accomplishment.
It
is.
It is,
really. You should be patting yourself on the back. Like, yeah, I'm so cool.
Really grateful. So many people helped me along the way. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed.
Which brings us to the obvious, which is, before we talk about Shed the Shame, because we want to give a preview on that, because that's what's coming up at the film festival. But how cool is this? You have worked on film with Barbara Streisand. OMG. I'd give my leg to see her. I'd give my leg just to wave at her. And then here she is.
She was like
Barbara
5
Streisand.
feet
I'm like,
away
no,
from
baby.
me.
Oh my God.
She was 5 feet away from me because I was an extra in Prince of Tides, and she was my idol. She was somebody that I would see a picture of her and I would cry when I was 16. I mean, I lived and breathed Babs. I just loved her. And so I actually had decided to leave acting, and I was pursuing the healing arts, and I get this call, would you like to be on Prince of Tides? I was like, well, of course. So that's
don't have to ask me twice.
Film I did, but
Oh, that's so awesome. Just, you know, it's just so amazing, isn't it? When you look back at your life, you're like, okay, granted, you weren't standing like right next to her and having a conversation, and you weren't BFFs and this and that, but it's like, that's a life experience. You know, you have to kind of take away from that 5 seconds
I thought it was going to pass
day
out,
or that whatever.
I was like, oh my God. She's right near me. I think I'm going to pass out.
That is like so cool.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
It was cool. It was totally cool, and she was phenomenal.
And of course, that makes me 150% jealous, because all of my friends meet the really kick-ass people, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I know really cool people that are creative, and I meet really cool people all the time. So I'm like, I'm surrounded and very blessed, but that has got to be just amazing. So kudos on that one. So now, Shed the Shame, we don't want to give away too much. Obviously, if you guys have been listening and you realize that this in a large part is Junie's self-discovery of herself, her body, her self-worth. But the number one thing that you want people to take away after seeing this movie is what? and also give them a short summation of your film without giving it away. Because I don't want to give away too much because then they won't want to see it.
Yeah. The first thing I always say, which is healing is possible. That is the message. And that we do not have to just say, well, this is how it is, and I'm just going to suffer for the rest of my life, feeling inadequate, ugly, whatever. I mean, I used this film as a metaphor. Granted, I have had body image issues and body shame, but this film is about feeling inadequate. It is about feeling shame about any part of who you are. Yes, the film is about body image and body shame, but it's about feeling less than in some way because we've been taught that. So this film shines a light on how we've become who we are and how we might shift it. And the I got naked and body painted. That's all I'll say. Go see
and
it.
You totally get to see another side of Junie. That's all I'm saying. Totally get to see a different side.
You see a lot of sides of Junie.
Yes, actually. And what's nice about it though is really you can see, and this is just me, not the film screener or the judge or the founder saying this. This is just me as woman to woman here. When I watched it, one of the things that I found so refreshing is that you can just see. You can see the release and you can see the comfort that you have in your face. There isn't that inhibition. There isn't that fear. There isn't that shame. At least that's what I got out of it, is that I didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
I saw this very relaxed, very liberated person. You know, I did see that. And so I think if you were trying to do that, you accomplished that, obviously. It's very clear in watching it. And folks, just so you know, we're not talking about a 20-minute film or anything like this. This is in our short film category, obviously. It actually, fortunately, is the very first day of screenings, and I did that on purpose just because I wanted to start off with shorts that were a little more experimental and different, that had different messages to them, and I think it's awesome. It's actually the second film that's screening, which I'm excited about. It's a little less than 10 minutes, shed the shame that is. Obviously, as the director, that's the other thing I want to ask you about, because it's not like you have been doing indie film for the last 20 years here. So as being a director of your own film, you know, it's not like you can yell at yourself and be like, no, let's reshoot this, etc. How complicated is it to try to be the main focus of a subject while you're directing a production as well? How challenging is that? Because I have yet to do something like that. So I'm curious.
You know, maybe it's beginner's luck. I mean, I had a vision. I was really clear about what I wanted to say. I had some notes. I didn't even script it, frankly. I just kept running it in my head. I just was like, I want to say this, I want to say this, and I had kind of an outline of I want to hit this point, hit this point, hit this point, and then I just did the dialogue in my head. I kind of rehearsed it in my head, very little on paper, and I had a great videographer. Renata from, I want to give her a plug and I can't think of her film company right now. Darn it. Yeah, I'll hopefully figure that out in a second. But anyway, Renee was an amazing videographer, and sometimes she would ask me questions to pull out some more. So it was definitely a collaboration. And I had a vision of I wanted a certain thread. I wanted a certain I had a vision. That's all I can say is I had a vision. I put it all on camera. I looked at it. I said, I want this, I want this, I want this. I threaded it all together, and I handed it over to her, and she did her magic to put the music and the clips together, and it was a collaboration. It was great.
And it's a lovely collaboration, I have to say that. Now, I don't want to forget to mention this because for the folks that are out there that may want to meet Junie in person, she has 3 upcoming events, not just my film festival, which is one of them. But I know on the 18th at 7:30 at Sexy Spirits, you're having the movie screening on West 55th Street.
You know what? I'm gonna interrupt for a second because we had to reschedule that. Yeah, no, I forgot that I sent that to you. So the 18th and the 22nd, those 2 things had to get rescheduled, and so they're postponed right now. So. Yeah, but there's other things. I'm doing a talk and presentation at the Center for Spiritual Living in Rockland, New York, and that's Sunday the 29th, I believe. And then there's a book signing event at Watchung Booksellers in Montclair, New Jersey, and that's November 9th. And then also at the Body Image Boutique. How perfect is that? Body Image Boutique on the 13th. I'm doing another screening and presentation and book signing. And this is all, as we speak, being put up on my website. But people can find me.
Nice.
Well, people can find me at my website, which is womenreclaimyourlife.com, and it'll be all there. And so I'm sorry to throw you off there, but I didn't want to plug something that wasn't happening. It had to.
Well, no, that's why I bring up things like this, because this way then we're all on the same page and we kind of all know, okay, how to find her here, there, everywhere. So that's kind of why. And I figured, well, I'll throw it all out there and you'll let me know. Obviously, if you want to meet the both of us, October 26th, we will both be at the Art is Alive Film Festival. We're going to be showing between the 11:30 and the 12:30 block on the 26th as part of the artistic short screening block. You will be number 2. Pursuit of Beauty is playing first, then Shed the Shame, and then we have 2 short films thereafter that. So Junie and I will both be present, and we'll be doing a Q&A session thereafter because I have questions relative to the film that I'll be asking at that day. And that's being held at the Dog House Crafting Kitchen, which is inside Four Points Sheridan Hotel on West 25th Street, New York City. So both of us will be there and present for that. A couple of business side of things, because I'm going to read off a bunch of places where people can find you. I want to let you know, to the fans or followers or people that know you or friends that might not have heard the interview today, in about 2 hours, I'm going to send you over the Blog Talk Radio link. Plus, I upload these onto YouTube, so I'll send that off to you as well. So you'll have both copies within about 2 hours or so as far as that goes.
Great.
Now I'm going to read off about 75 places to find her, because she's in more places than I am, folks, believe it or not. So it's true. So when I get done reading this, you let me know if I've missed anything. So her name again, the actual website itself is called CoachJunieMoon.com. 2 places on Facebook. She has an actual personal Facebook page as well as Coach Junie Moon. She is on IMDb, Amazon, Goodreads, Google+, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Vimeo. She also has, I wanted to ask about this, the Facebook group, Loving the Whole Package. So you're the administrator of that, is that correct? So people can approach you about that?
That is correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
so we
I added that
in
conjunction with my book. So if people had questions and they wanted to interact with each other, I created that group.
That's what I thought. Okay, so there's that. And then, of course, you mentioned the womenreclaimyourlife.com. And then I didn't notice, so you do not have a Twitter or an Instagram handle, or am I just missing that? Because that's the one thing I couldn't find.
Coach Junie Moon. Coach Junie Moon. Should be Coach Junie Moon.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. There's that. And then the last thing I want to ask you is, I noticed that you have that blog on your website. Now, is that being updated regularly where folks will get different blogs that they can read, et cetera? Because obviously when you guys check out the website, that's one of the nice features of the blogs that's listed on there. So I wasn't sure if you're going to continue to keep updating those regularly.
Yes, absolutely. With the book launch, it got a little slow, but I just wrote one just this week. So, yep, they will.
Oh, awesome.
They will be. Yes, I usually do one a week when I'm really good.
Oh my God, listen to this. And now, as far as the in terms of if people listen to the show today and they want to approach you about coaching or shadow work, et cetera, I'm assuming that you're currently still taking on clients and they should approach you through the website and give you a call and arrange something directly. I wasn't sure about your schedule, hence the question.
Absolutely. If somebody's interested, there's a lot of information on CoachJunieMoon.com, and Junie is spelled Junie. So CoachJunieMoon.com has a ton of information, and there's how to work with me and a way to reach out to me. And again, they could start right now by just picking up the 4 powers to being themselves and loving it. That's a free video series to just get in the loop right now and start to do stuff. But yeah, they could just find me there, and I'm thrilled to talk with people. I do have room in my program. I have actually a shadow work weekend I forgot to share. That's the November 10th weekend up in Rhode Island. That's a 3-day dive deep for women shadow work weekend, and that will be an amazing event as well, where you can really sink in and transform and all that stuff.
That's absolutely awesome. Well, this is what I will say in closing. This is always the last thing that I do on my show is I get to tell my guests what I think of them. And so the reason I do this is that part of my show is never scripted. So this very last part is always from my head and my heart to every person that comes on the show. I think it's important people recognize and realize who you are outside of just what I could do as a journalist, obviously. So the very first time that she approached me, actually, I think was an email. I didn't even personally talk to you, as a matter of fact, and she was raving about how I was so accomplished and this and that, and I thought to myself, hell, how little does this woman know? I'm like, I bullshit really well. And so I went ahead and I started to research her a little bit, and I watched the film a number of times, and I looked at some of her facial expressions, some of the things that she's written and said, and this is what I discovered about her. In my journey to get to know Junie, and I don't mean necessarily to the film itself, one of the things that I noticed about you in the film that I've taken away, that I noticed about you now in speaking to you, is that glow and that gleam that you have for life, for love, for self-acceptance, for self-confidence. You seem to gravitate to anyone and anything that has a positive pull to it. When you were talking in the film about looking at yourself when you were young and saying, I used to be so beautiful, all I could think to myself was, does she have any idea what she looks like right now? You are the epitome of beauty in mind, beauty in heart, and beauty in soul. You spend your days and nights helping and facilitating others to find motivation and to find their magic and to find their magnificence. If that isn't the job of a lifetime, I don't know what is. You touch hearts and souls and minds in such a way where they walk out and they feel refreshed and revitalized, and they feel. It's so important nowadays that we live in a society where everything is so somber and so sad. You give people life and purpose and reason, and you make them feel like they matter. So from me to you and many others who I'm sure I've never told you often enough, thank you for the gift of you, and thank you for the gifts you bestow upon other people. Thank you for making this wonderful production where people can walk away and they know they can feel good about themselves, even if just for 9 minutes out of their life, they can realize that there's a way to be able to accept themselves, even if they don't like themselves 24 hours a day. You've given that great gift to so many people, and hopefully if I do my job well, tons of other people will get to see it, and they'll reach out to you, and they'll realize how magnificent you are. I've honored and treasure the time we have together, and I really look forward to meeting you in person. If nothing else, just to get a hug and say, that girl is so kick-ass, because she did the body paint thing, and I don't know if I ever will, ever, because I'm petrified. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it, girl. You totally rocked it. You did great. I'm very proud of you. That's awesome.
You.
Really,
Thank
is.
Thank you.
Truly.
That blessing you just gave me, words cannot describe how deep that just went. I'm, tears in my eyes right now. I'm not immune
Why do people
to
keep crying on my show? Please don't cry. I feel bad. I'm like, don't cry. People do it. They're like crying. I'm like, no. No, don't cry.
You touched my heart, and thank you.
That was the point.
I still struggle with self-doubt sometimes, and to be able to.
Of course.
Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for honoring me. I'm just really like, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was a beautiful blessing. Yeah.
And it's very true, of course. And I'm looking forward to our first day together because I'm so excited about this. Like I said, I just want to get to the festival. I mean, once we get there, I think we'll be good. It's just so much prep and so much time. So I'm excited and nervous and scared, but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
And don't forget to bring another copy of the film. I'm breathing every second.
I will.
Everything's going to be great.
Yep.
I'm going to have a nice, relaxing hour doing nothing right now because I just did my job. So I'm going to sit for an hour and go back to working again. But it was a pleasure, and I will get I'll get your stuff over to you soon. I promise.
Thank you so much for this time. Thank you for inviting me into your festival. It's going to be magical and wonderful. I look forward to that hug and having some fun.
We'll have a great time.
Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Really, thank you.
Anytime, my dear. Definitely. We'll be talking soon. You have a great afternoon.
All right. Awesome.
I will see you later.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Tell me she's not fabulous and full of spunk and energy. She's absolutely awesome. Again, one more time, the two websites, womenreclaimyourlife.com and coachjunemooney.com. She is on Facebook with her personal page as well as Coach Junie Moon, and again, that's Junie, Junie. She is on IMDb, Amazon, Goodreads, Google+, YouTube, Vimeo, LinkedIn, Pinterest. Her Instagram, of course, is Coach Junie Moon, as well as Twitter handle. And also, if you were interested, she has the Facebook group, Loving the Whole Package, which, as you heard, she moderates. And please go ahead and check out the book if you get an opportunity to. Loving the Whole Package, Shed the Shame, and Live Life Out Loud, which, as she mentioned, is a bestseller. And again, to reiterate, October 26th at 11:30 a.m., which is right after my inaugural speech, we're going to be showing her film, Shed the Shame, within the Artistic Shorts block. Just to remind everybody, Art is Alive Film Festival at yolasite.com. is where you can get the tickets to see her feature. It is $5 for the entire block, and that covers all 4 films on the first day, October 26th. I want to say big thanks one more time to Junie for coming onto the show, obviously. Thank you so much for your time and your devotion and your film. Thanks so much to our listening audience this week, for all of the filmmakers that came on this week. Thanks to everybody who's helping me to promote the festival, of course. As you all know, this is now my last show. I'm signing off. Thankfully, to get going on the festival and other work, but more importantly, obviously, we have to make sure the festival goes off without a kick. And then we'll be returning, like I said, with Alyssa of Bravo Real Estate Wars on Halloween at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time. So, since I won't be talking to you guys, have a wonderful next week and a half. Look forward to posting up all the pictures from the festival, etc. And please, if you're in the New York or New Jersey area, please come and join us. You guys have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you guys on Halloween. Take care.